Man was shocked to discover that his wife had left home with their 3-day-old daughter, with many bodyguards following behind her. At this moment, he still could not believe the fact that his wife had abandoned him, so he went to his wife's hospital room. He found that his wife had long since disappeared without a trace. Afterwards, he learned from a nurse that his wife had given birth alone in the hospital. During that time, no family member had come to bring her meals. Upon hearing this, the man immediately questioned his mother. His mother explained that she had been socializing with friends these past few days. Therefore, she had no time to go to the hospital. It turned out that 3 days ago, the woman's life had been hanging by a thread because of childbirth. She had not a single relative by her side to take care of her. She called her mother-in-law to come to the hospital to sign the consent for surgery. However, her mother-in-law was busy watching her sister's recital with the whole family. Their son was annoyed and asked his grandmother to hang up the phone. The nurse, seeing that the call could not go through, became extremely anxious, because without a family member's signature, the surgery could not take place. But if the surgery was not performed, both the woman and the baby would be in danger. The woman thought of her husband, who was on a business trip out of town. She called her husband, asking him to come back quickly to sign. Little did she know that her husband had already returned. At this moment, he was also at his sister's recital. When the son and mother-in-law heard that it was the woman calling, they both blamed the woman for disturbing them. After the woman heard their words, she no longer held any hope for her family. She realized that she was the one who was superfluous in the family. She signed the surgical consent form. Fortunately, the surgery was very successful, but the woman, whose heart had been completely broken, decided to divorce her husband, and requested that her son stay with the husband, and that their newborn daughter stay with her. The man still thought she was throwing a childish tantrum. He told her to rest well and not to mention divorce again. After the man left the hospital room, the woman dialed her advisor's phone, asking if the lab still needed people. When the professor heard that a top expert in the specialty was coming back, he expressed excitement and, of course, welcomed her. He then told the woman that he would arrange everything. Soon a group of men in black entered. These bodyguards were all sent by the professor to take the woman to a confinement center. Not only that, he had also hired an experienced postpartum nanny to look after the baby, and 2 aunts to cook and clean. The woman was overjoyed, thinking about how she had given up her dreams for her family, and received only ridicule in return. But with just one phone call, her advisor treated her like a treasure, so she had the bodyguards reply to the advisor, indicating that she would never fail the advisor's nurturing. Then she looked at this cold and merciless hospital room, and realized that she had worked so hard to give birth for her husband's family, but in return, they had shown her not a shred of care. She decided that from today on, she would start anew and begin a new life. Just at this moment, the man's family also arrived at the hospital. The son said he didn't want to see his mother's face. The man not only did not scold his son, but actually followed his son's words and turned back the way they came. Suddenly he saw a woman leaving with a baby in her arms, but he was not sure if that woman was his wife. After all, his wife had just given birth and would not have been discharged so quickly. Just as he was about to leave, he changed his mind and went to the hospital room to check on his wife, only to find that the room was empty. It was not until this moment that he began to worry. He immediately asked the nurse where his wife in the room had gone. The nurse said that the woman had just completed the discharge procedures. Upon hearing this, the man hurriedly called his wife, but discovered that his wife hung up the phone repeatedly. Now both father and son realized that something was wrong. They suspected that the woman might be planning to abandon them and leave the family. However, the mother-in-law was still angrily accusing the woman of throwing a tantrum on purpose. When the man hurriedly arrived at his wife's villa, he found that his wife had already changed the password.